everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, and welcome to yet another episode of An Audience with the Queen. And I have brought back again because I loved my chat with her last time. Starry Eyed Girl from all the way over there in the UK. How are you doing, my dear?
I am very well. Thank you so much for having me back. Yeah,
Welcome.
absolute pleasure last time. And yes, we just didn't have time to talk about everything we wanted to talk about, and the after show chat was proof of that. So we've managed to align the timelines, and yes, round two, an audience with the Queen. Let's do it.
Yes. Of course, for this one, I'm very excited about. And I do have to thank House of the Dragon for helping me get into this, folks. We are going to be talking season one
Mhm.
of the BBC show Doctor Who. Now, I do know my stateside friends will laugh at me. They're like, "Oh, you're just getting into it." I'm like, "Yes, I knew of it, but I only had a limited amount of time. So I couldn't watch everything." And I remember when I went to Collectomania in the UK like years ago, I was so stoked to see all the Doctor Who cosplay because I'm like, I'm in Britain right now. So this makes it even freaking cooler. Like I'm like seeing, the police in the box. Someone I think was actually dressed up as a doll. Like I had no idea what it was, but I knew what it looked like now. So it was just a bunch of it was great. It was like a sci-fi that I wasn't into, but knew of and
Mhm.
had respect for. So I was like, that was supremely cool. So now you fast forward to today, and with Star Wars kind of like in the toilet and
Yes.
uh Star Trek close behind, with the exception of season 3 of Picard. I'm so
Mhm.
shocked.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a different show than it was.
I resisted for such a long time, but then I kept hearing people say, "No, seriously, you've got to give it a chance, Starry." And I thought, okay, fine. And yeah, I'm up to episode 5, and yet I just can't believe, the different. You can see the love, the respect. I'm like, why didn't you just do this in the first place?
I know. I know. I'm just like I'm stunned with each episode. So it's like they've finally started to course correct.
Mhm.
But the other thing that I had, as someone who wasn't like a quote unquote Doctor Who fan, I guess you would call me a not
Mhm.
quite normie because I hadn't been watching it. I started hearing about the devastating changes being made to Doctor Who. And I was
Mhm.
seeing some of my friends who were Whovians for years, like,
Mhm.
I do not recognize what is on the show. So I know I had made it a point to say I'm going to start watching Doctor Who because I saw Matt Smith's performance in House of the Dragon, and I'm like, okay, you have now officially piqued my interest. So you and I were talking, and we're like, you know what? Since you are a huge Doctor Who fan, and I am kind of like a normie just getting into it, that it would be a great topic for an audience with the Queen. So I have watched season one here, one starting in 2005. I've seen season one. Starry has probably seen everything there is to see, about, about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So
This is my Star Wars. Yes,
yes, so
and
I am
it's
in
really
greatness.
and it must be fate, Lorena, because I don't know if you saw my Twitter post earlier, but it's actually 18 years to the day that Rose was first broadcast on the BBC. Yeah.
Really?
Hmm.
Well, see, there you go.
You see, so yeah, it was meant to be. You was meant to find it at this time.
Yes, precisely when intended to, right? Oh, well, starting with the first episode of season one, episode one, called Rose. Now, I started watching this episode. And it was cool how it started out. Like, oh,
Mhm,
I'm just your typical girl. I get up, I get on the
mhm,
bus, I go to work, I come back, rinse, repeat, all of that. I
mhm,
especially loved it because I got to relive memories of visiting London. So that was
mhm.
cool to like to check out. It's like the rinse, repeat. And then one fateful night, all she wanted to do was go home,
I
work.
know.
That's all she wanted to do was go home after work, and the mannequins start to come alive. Now
Mhm.
that's when I was like, this show is going to be absolutely nuts, and I'm here for it.
And isn't it wonderful how, I mean, I've watched it again today, just seeing it in this lens now of how much you know about Rose and her life, just I mean, what we're in 5 minutes before the mannequins start. You know what a routine is, you know what a mum's like, you know what a boyfriend's like.
Yes.
And I just, in 5 minutes, and you're just like, wow, have we really lost our way this much in, TV? That we can't do this character work. That would have been an entire episode on the CW.
Oh Lord, yes. But I loved how they built that up and then introduced this, I guess, juxtaposition of this girl who really hasn't been able to do much yet in the world
Mhm.
is all of a sudden exposed to this very, very extremely strange phenomenon. And then, of course, the doctor shows up, which kind of gave me Terminator vibes
Yeah,
when I first saw him. I
the,
kind of did
the
get it.
leather jacket and
Yes,
the like, come with me if you want to live.
exactly. Exactly. And we're just kind of like, who are you? Well, it turns out that he's the doctor. He's the doctor. And I'm blanking on the actors. Is it? It's not Eccleston. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, it
that's
is?
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I got it right.
Yeah.
Cool. I got it right. So yes, he is the doctor. And of course, Rose, played by Billy Piper, she's pretty much like his companion. But in this episode, they're basically just meeting each other, trying to find out who each
Mhm.
other is, what's the deal that's going on, and what's going on with these mannequins. So I enjoyed it. I really can't say there was nothing that I didn't like. Of course, it was a bit different from the sci-fi that I was used to seeing. It gave me a lot of original, like Star Trek original series vibes
Mhm.
when I was watching it. And my other favorite thing, the underlying British humor, which I freaking love. So I love that part of that. So you tell me, what was your favorite thing about this episode?
Oh gosh, where to start? Just the fact that I like that it's told from Rosa's perspective. See, in the classic series, the older series, it'd start with the Doctor, usually something kind of like space related, and then the companions would come and go. Whereas this, um, it's a tiny little bit dated, but that's it's 18 years old, but it's still got that kind of modern feel where Rose is very much down to earth. It's kind of, yes, there's all these weird things happening, but you've got that feeling that this is just an ordinary day, and this could happen to you. You could wake up one morning and it could be there blowing up your job.
Yes.
I liked how grounded she was, and I think that's to its credit that it doesn't get too fanciful straight away. Again, like you were saying about, I'm really glad that you got that TOS vibe because it not true. It's a show for the family. So there's enough. gags in it for the kids, like the bin that burps. And
Oh,
it's it's looking a bit dodgy now with the CD, and Mickey just looking like, how you like, Rose, how could you not know that your boyfriend changed into plastic?
I know.
But yeah, but then you'd got the slightly adult humour where you got them making jokes about boob jobs because it's all to do with plastic. So you got that kind of
Hmm.
that balance. But it also knows when to be funny, when to be serious, because there are some serious moments in it.
Yes, and there's one we're going to
Mm,
get to in one episode that just
mhm,
blew my mind with how it was with respect to the seriousness. And I
mhm,
would have to say it's probably one of the most serious episodes in season one.
mhm.
So here's where we meet Rose, and let me scooch over to episode two, the end of the world, where Rose gets to go on her first voyage through time to the year 500 billion. Um, I'm laughing because there's a reference to Ren and Stimpy in there. I think
Is
Ren and
that
Stimpy took it and used it in an episode called
yeah.
Space Madness. And they said, welcome to the year 500 billion, I think. And that's what I thought about. So
Mhm,
apparently the spun is about to expand, to explode. And this was, I want to say, like the first episode where, Rose is like the companion and she's kind of getting used to the idea of traveling
mhm,
this way, because the doctor, of course, is an actual time lord. So before
mhm.
I go any further, Story, you explain to me what exactly is a time lord in the context of this show.
Okay, well, the Time Lord, it isn't so much the species of what alien it is. It's kind of like I'd say it's more like a higher order. So like the planet where he's from is Gallifrey. And you'll find that out as you go along. So on Gallifrey there are Gallifreyans, but then you've also got the Time Lord. So I'm trying to think of a comparison. Probably you think kind of like Jedi. So you've got like the,
Hmm.
the elders, and so the Time Lords, really intelligent beings of immense power, and that there's a Time Lord Academy. So you have to go, you have to study, you learn about the time, and yeah, just really clever, wise, powerful. But they tend to be kind of passive, like they kind of like all watch time progress and kind of try not to get
Hmm.
involved. Whereas the doctors are kind of renegade, and you'll find out. So again, there's definitely lots of Star Wars parallels where it isn't enough just to be part of this order. I want to go out. If I'm seeing injustice, I can't just stand and observe. I've got to be in it. So yeah, he's very powerful. Time Lords live a long time, and they have this power of regeneration. So if they get mortally wounded, uh,
Hmm.
the cells change and regenerate into a new body. But generally, like all the memories and the personalities, they're all kind of still in there. So yes, really, there's nothing really in sci-fi quite like it with this, power of regeneration. And all it was just a clever way that the writers um, created for the lead actor who was getting ill, but the show was a success and they wanted
Mm.
to replace him, and it was as simple as that, and it's just become such a huge thing, and it's why the show's endured for so many years. So yeah, so kind of like it looks human. You found out later in the series he's got two hearts and not one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he's a bit, he's very clever, a little bit kind of a bit stronger. You know, not in no, he's not immortal as such, but he kind of, well, kind of like a cross between like a Jedi and an elf, I suppose. He can die, but you know, it takes a lot for that to happen. But he's still really can still look really unassuming, and I think it's just that's the beauty of it because he looks like a human.
Yes.
You can tell, but you can tell that he isn't, and it's like in the nuances of like of the eyes, and you'll see this when you get to Matt Smith for such a young actor. His eyes are so like piercing and so wise, and he looks like an old man, and you can really believe that he is, you know, hundreds and thousands years old. But we'll get to that
Yeah.
when you learn
Yeah,
Matt Smith.
he is really he just seems he can seem unassuming, he can
Hmm.
seem extremely wise, he can just seem aloof, and he could just seem like anybody out
Hmm.
there, on the street. So I think that's something that's very genius about this character. It's like he's an alien, but yet looks like a human. But you kind of forget sometimes that he's an alien because he's so good at, I would say,
Hmm.
integrating himself into human society. Although this episode, I had to laugh because it had, like, I guess the last human, and her face was stretched out. And I cannot, the person who does her voice, that character's voice, is driving me nuts because I know I've heard it
Oh,
somewhere else.
it's Zoe Wanamaker, Madam Hooch in Harry Potter.
Oh, that's why I
Yes,
know who it is. I'm like, why
she's another. She's done loads of. Yeah, you love seeing. Yeah, she's got a very distinct voice.
yes.
But yeah, one of the brilliant things about this is the writer Russell T Davies. He was inspired. Everybody on platform one, including Cassandra, are based on like Oscar ceremonies. You know, and you see all the celebrities with all the nips and tucks and face. And
Yes.
that's where Cassandra was born.
It was absolutely genius when I saw it. I'm like, wow, okay. So they worked on their body so much. The only thing left is the stretched skin that they can talk out of. So
Yeah.
again, touches like that just made me think of original series Trek. It was absolutely brilliant, and I just that character, it just cracked me up.
And
Totally cracked me up.
it's the performance because you know, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about and we just showed a picture, you'd just laugh your head off, wouldn't you? But it worked. And again, with Doctor Who, you've got this kind of humour that you can play with the aliens and the monsters, but it doesn't take you out. You know, it's not right. This is too silly. It's not gonna distract you from the story. And I think
Hmm.
that just because of the actors, you know, even the steward at the beginning. I'm blanking on his name, but again, he's another. He's a very popular British actor, and just yeah, and you feel for him when everything's going wrong, and then he gets it. Poor guy.
Hmm.
So, how did you feel? Rosa's first experience of the aliens when she just doesn't. It's just too much. I really love that. I think that would be a human reaction. You'd be stood there going, "He's blue." I think you would. You wouldn't just feel cool about it, like in other shows.
I did like that. Rose was very realistic. People would think, "Oh, you're getting to go over, go across the galaxy through time, through
Mhm,
space, and do all that. It's going to be great." I love that adjustment period. Just like, what did I get myself into?
mhm,
And I like that because
yeah,
that's a reaction that your viewer can can plug into. It's not the idealistic of, oh, we're going to go ahead and everything's going to be great and I'm going to be fine. It's just like, no, I need to freak out here for I'll be okay, but I need to give this very human reaction to the craziness that's going
Mhm.
that's going on around me. So it's funny to see later on. Well, not funny, but yes, funny, but also realistic that
Mhm.
near the end of the season, she's taken to it. It's like she doesn't know anything else. She doesn't want to know anything else. She wants to stay in this I shouldn't call it a job, but in this adventure of going through
Mhm.
time and space. And I love the scene in I forget which episode it is, where she's kind of like stuck at home, and you can tell
Mhm.
she does not want to. She doesn't want to be there,
Yeah.
and her family just wants her there, and they can't understand why that isn't enough for her. And I thought that was really
Mhm.
good writing, because we could understand, but we could also understand the very human reaction of her family. Like, why can't you just stay here with us?
Yeah, and I think it shows how much Rose has changed as a person. Oh, there's little bits like at the beginning, you can tell she's kind of dissatisfied with her job.
Hmm.
She wants, you could tell she doesn't want to be in that close door for the rest of her life. She wants to do
Top
more
shop.
than this. Yeah, I know. And yeah, and you can, and she's very, I don't know what you call it, kind of like streetwise, street smart. Like she might not be, as intelligent as the doctor, but she does things like when she's in the basement, she turns the light on.
Yes.
She confronts Cassandra. She's not afraid to speak her mind, and it's lovely to see that she does get that. I think her confidence increases, and I think she does kind of. I think she tries and wants to be like the doctor. She wants to help people. She wants to do better and make. If she can make things better, and just things like in this episode where she starts talking to the maintenance girl, and she just and she doesn't treat her any differently, and just little small scenes like that, because on this platform she's supposedly this special guest. What did you think to the psychic paper?
Oh, that was wild.
It's uh,
I'm just
oh,
like, it's freaking brilliant.
something so simple as, how can I get us out of this situation? I'll just do this.
It's like,
But
oh,
it works.
psychic paper
Huh.
tells me where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, we could all
And it
do
looks
with
like
some
a
of
little
that.
etch a sketch.
Yeah.
I like that. It is. It's that British humor and the
Mhm.
timing. That's so much fun, and I also think that's probably one of the reasons why Americans would like bond to this show,
Mhm.
because just the brand of like British humor that we would see. It's so funny. It's like I can't even really describe it. It's just like it'll go one way and then come around another way,
Mhm.
or it'll be a running gag, or this setup. It's very distinctive, and which is probably why I like
Mhm.
so many Britcoms. Especially, well, Monty Python I would watch on
Yeah.
PBS, which was absolutely freaking hilarious.
Still is. It still is.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is. It is the goat of British comedy, so I would say. Now this one, episode 3, for some reason I wound up skipping it. I have no idea why I wound up doing this, and I'm kind of upset that I did, because apparently Charles Dickens makes an appearance. Charles Dickens, I have to put that in quotes.
yeah.
Charles Dickens makes it
No.
makes an appearance in
Mhm.
this, and Dickens is one of my favorite Victorian writers. So,
Mm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You'll have to go back and watch it. So what this one is, it's so they've been to the future. this is the chance for Rose to go to the past. This time, it's the Doctor was kind of showing off a bit at the start about where he could go. Well, he gets the flight a little bit wrong, which that keeps coming back. The flight getting a bit wrong. They were supposed to be going to Naples, and they end up in Cardiff, and
Wow.
that's kind of an in joke because they filmed it in Cardiff. But it's Christmas time, Victorian. Charles Dickens.
Oh.
Charles Dickens is performing a Christmas Carol on stage, which obviously he used to do that. And Charles Dickens played by Simon Cowell. So really good. I'm trying to think what's it. Yeah, I'm gonna say. I'm making sure I get the name right, and it's not Simon Cowell. That's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, this the subplot is bodies are coming back to life. There's a mortuary, and it's these gas creatures called the Gelf. And basically, they have this kind of sob story to the Doctor that the planet was destroyed. They've got nowhere to go, so they want to inhabit the dead bodies. And the Doctor's seriously considering it. And it's a brilliant moment for Rose. The Doctor's different version of mortality, because Rose is like, yeah, but these are, people who live, they need to be buried. It's not fair on the families. Whereas he's saying it as a form of like recycling. And it's, but he's got this guilt because you see the Time War keeps getting mentioned, and this Gelf planet was a casualty of the Time War, so the Doctor feels
Ah.
responsible. So that's where he's coming. So they have a massive argument and clash, but ultimately the Gelf weren't happy about just doing that, and it was a ruse, and they all want to come in and take over Cardiff, and that's not going to happen. And yeah, Charles Dickens gets embroiled in it, and it's really good because he's kind of like a logical man, and he's writing The Mystery of Edwin Drood at the time, which is his last novel, and
Oh, okay.
he gets inspired again by this adventure, and
Mm.
he was going to the ending was going to be something not of this world, but obviously he never finished it, does he? So it's a nice little play on, what if that could have been real? We don't know because he never finished it, and he gets to see, he sees the TARDIS dematerialize, and he's like, oh wow, it's just a really, really fun, nice moment. So he starts off kind of really depressed, and is this my life? Just going on stage and presenting better works, and at the end he's energized again. So yeah, it's a lovely little, you get to see Rose in a lovely Victorian dress, which very popular with a certain demographic.
Yes.
Again, just another lovely, you get to see Rose challenging the Doctor. She's not just, yes, Doctor, we're going to do this. She'll say, no, I don't. This is wrong, Doctor. This is, you can't do this on Earth. And it's just, it's another fantastic bit of character development, and perfect for Christmas. Very Christmassy. I've always called it kind of like an unofficial Christmas special. So yeah, definitely check it out if you love Charles Dickens. Oh yeah, you'll love it.
Yes, and I do. So I'm kind of like, heck, did I flip and miss this one? Oh, but it happened. So I'm gonna
It
go back
happens, yeah.
and watch it because I do. I absolutely, I love Charles Dickens, love A Christmas Carol, love the Victorian era. So I'm definitely gonna be checking this one back. Definitely checking that one out. And oh my gosh, this episode, The Aliens of London, did not expect for aliens to be so gassy. It's it, oh, go ahead, my dear.
Yeah, they got a lot of criticism at the time because you could kind of three episodes that were kind of, well, not completely serious, but serious enough. And I think the concern was that it was going too far for the kids and not enough for the adults. I, the fighting gets old. I mean, they do explain it why it happens, but I'm just like, but apart from that, the idea of them going, wearing people suits is
Mhm.
terrifying. And the impersonating the government officials.
Mhm.
The story's pretty good, but I just think the fighting takes it away. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I was like after, it was funny the first time, funny
mm,
the second time, third time it's kind of like, okay, and then
mm,
it was like a running joke that isn't funny, and anymore. Like the funny running joke, and we'll get into it probably a little bit later.
mm,
The person who becomes the prime minister, and she
mm.
always introduces herself, and they're like, "Yeah, we know who you are."
We know, yeah, yeah.
I'm so and so. Yeah, we know who you are. Even the aliens, yes, we know who you
We know you.
are. So that kind of running joke, I
Yeah,
did like, but this one,
yeah,
I was kind of like, all right. Fart jokes are
yeah.
usually only good if they're used sparingly,
Mhm.
and it kind of like I felt like it kind of detracted from the very
Yeah.
serious nature of what was going on. You have these aliens impersonating not just any office, but Downing Street.
Mhm. Yeah, and again, the story is really sound in what they're trying to do, and everything like the crashing into Big Ben and all that stage.
Mhm.
One of the first when the series was coming back, one of the first pictures was of that space pig, and people were like, "Oh my god, this is awful! Is this what Doctor is going to be like? It's going to be a complete joke." But then when you see it, it makes sense in the context of the thing. But yeah, I think aside from the aliens, the actual story that goes like the Rose being missing, for 12 months, and that side of the story, what it means to be away.
Mhm.
To me, that was a lot more important. And again, that's something that had never happened in Doctor Who before. When you're in the classic series, it'd meet a companion like Sarah Jane or Ace, and that was it. You were on the TARDIS, you were traveling, you never went back. You didn't really know who the family were. So the fact that we get to check back and found out, oh my god, she's been missing for a whole year, and like Jackie smacking him, Mickey being accused of murder.
Mhm.
I just found all that fascinating. Aside from the alien invasion, and at the end of this episode, this is the one where Rose finally she's the full time companion now. She's made that decision.
Mhm.
No, I'm not staying at home. I am. Last time was on a whim. This time I know what I'm getting into, and I want to be full time. But yeah, I think this is one that you can kind of skip it. I think it's the weakest story of the series.
I agree. I agree. I want to say this is
Mm.
probably the first episode where I was kind of like, eh, and I hope it's over soon. I mean, it's like the alien conspiracy. It's like
Yeah,
it's been done, and the premise was good, but the story just kind of seemed to drag, and it was
it
kind
did.
of like, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not one that I would go back to
Mm.
watch like the first three. I could sit back and watch those. But this one was a kind of one where it's like, okay, I'm kind of like one and done with
Yeah,
with
completely.
this
And
one.
again, that's one where I'm a Doctor Who fan, but yeah, there's something where you do just kind of have to admit, yeah, it wasn't that. Kind of misjudged that one, Russell. But
Yeah, it's
to
like
be fair, I mean, we still got that wonderful line about, "Do you mind not farting while I'm trying to save the world?"
Yes. That was funny.
That was
That was
yeah.
hilarious. And then of course it continues with World War III,
Mhm,
which this was okay. This was okay. I liked it better than episode 4. We
mhm.
get to find out more about the lady who becomes the prime minister, and I'm blanking on her name, but before she's the prime minister, I forget, was she like a low-level cabinet assistant or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, she kept getting ignored, didn't she, by the other
Yes.
MPs. But yeah, another brilliant characters, and isn't it interesting, Lorena, how many, well, one good supporting characters, but you noticed how diverse it is, and how many strong female characters are in this, and not billed that way. Not come and check out all these strong female characters. They're just there.
Mhm. Yeah,
'Cause
they
that's
just
how it
they
was.
show up. They show up, and that's, the power of the story. They're not saying,
Mhm,
"Oh, because there's female characters in it, it's great." It's just like, no, they're great characters who
mhm,
happen to be female
mhm,
and who are integral, to the plot. I love this character. She seemed to be the one that knew how to take care of things when it's very obvious that, Downing Street, number 10, number 10 Downing Street was
yeah.
obviously infiltrated. Now, for some pedestrian people,
Oh,
they would have no
oh,
idea
sorry.
what. It's okay. I'm like looking to see if mine decided to video bomb me. Cats don't care. I'm glad I got to see yours. Oh.
Oh, she's gone now. She's on the window.
But yeah, number 10 Downing Street is like the Oval Office here
Mm,
in America. So it's that thing of like, okay, the president's incapacitated, the vice president's, incapacitated, the speaker of the house, we don't know where they are. Yeah,
mhm,
you seem to know what's going on. And this was a good intrigue episode. Like I said, I did like it better than I did episode 4.
mhm. Yeah, I think everybody gets room to have the little moment. Jackie gets a moment, and Mickey. I think Mickey starts to improve in this one because he was a bit of a
Whiny boyfriend.
yeah, yeah. But I did have to laugh though, when he's got to save everybody, and he keeps typing buffalo as the password. Like, I don't think that would work really for the nuclear war.
Yes.
But yeah, it was good fun. But yeah, it's definitely one for the kids more than the adults.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the fart
Mm.
jokes, that's for sure. Kids love fart jokes.
Oh yeah, mine definitely do.
Now, this episode, I did like,
Mhm,
because I'd heard about, Daleks, I'd seen them in cosplays, but didn't really understand what they were
mhm.
or what their place was in Doctor Who, and finding out that species pretty much number one are murder robots for the for the most part. Um, yeah, but turns out that they're responsible for destroying the Doctor's home world.
Mhm. Yes, a lot of history of this one. Again, it because the Daleks, the kind of if you're a Doctor Who fan, you love the Daleks, but to outside, oh god, she's back. Don't you turn my laptop off. I mean,
Hello,
come
girl.
on. um, yeah, I can see how to those who don't know, like why is it? Why does everybody go mad for the Daleks? What's so scary about the Daleks? They
Yeah.
just look like robots with the little plungers. So yes, I'm very interested to know what you made to this. Has it changed your opinion about the Daleks?
Um, Not completely like changed because I didn't really have
Mm,
an opinion of kind of like what they were before I saw the episode. And then, yes, at the beginning, it's like, okay, they're basically murder bots. But you find this, this one Dalek, which is being kept like a collector's item,
mm,
so to speak. And when you see Rose interact with it, and I want to say actually have sympathy in a way for it because of
mhm,
how it does behave. Like it asks you, are you afraid of me? And she's like, no.
mm,
And it seemed like to the Dalek that basically they had failed in
mhm,
primary function, which is to have everyone fear them so they can kill them without any kind of forethought. I thought that it was just a machine. I didn't know it was like this little
yeah,
alien goo looking person or thing that was inside of it. I'm like, oh, oh,
yeah,
okay,
the little tentacle creature.
yes, little
But
little little creature like I saw in Men in Black. I'm
yeah,
like, okay, that's exactly what I thought about. I'm just like, okay, now it kind of makes sense to me that way because I was like, why would a robot have feelings? That doesn't
mhm,
seem to make any sense. So it kind of did change my opinion by the end of this
mhm,
episode. Just that the Daleks seem to have their purpose is to destroy, and if they can't do that, they feel as if they are less than, and that's
mhm.
more of a threat to the point where they would rather just be taken out of existence.
Yeah, and again, any criticism that came from the Daleks, like, oh no, they can't go upstairs. So we sorted that one out. They've got a plunger. Well, now you found out exactly what that weapon's for, and you know that scientist guy, he deserved it. I'm sorry to side with the Dalek, but he got what we're coming to.
Yeah, I didn't feel bad for them at all.
But yeah, again, just showing you how one Dalek can destroy so many people.
Mhm.
They are just pure evil. You can't really reason with because they believe they're the higher form of life and everybody needs to be exterminated
Mhm.
to the point where I'm saying hey, I might be misgendering a Dalek. When Rose affects the DNA and it starts
Mhm.
mutating, it can't even stand that. It's got
Mhm.
to be pure Dalek. Obviously, that's a thing that gets revisited towards the end of the series. But yeah, get another brilliant performance by Eccleston. I mean, he's so dark in this one. He's so
Yes.
serious. It is quite shocking how you can see the visual hatred for this Dalek and the Dalek race, what it's done, and the pain and everything, and it kind of makes so much sense about how what the Doctor's been like, and what must he have gone through, before he met Rose, just being on his own, because it's pretty clear at the start of Rose, he just wants to be left alone to do what he needs
Mhm.
to do and get off. He wasn't looking for a companion. He was happy to be on his own. And yeah, I just think it's an absolute masterclass for Eccleston, because he is known for that kind of more like grittier, he's a serious actor,
Mhm.
and one of the reasons why he picked this role is because he wanted to do something like more comedic, because he's known for being that serious actor, and I think he does do the comedy really well. But I think where he shines is in scenes like this, when he does the confrontation, and you just
Mhm.
absolutely riveted. And it's still even now, going back and watch it, you're just like, wow, the gravitas he's got, and that's what the Doctor needs. You need to be able to be laughing and joking 1 minute, and then just turn on a dime and be able to deliver that. So yes, I'm really glad that you like that episode.
I did, where he just basically went dark talking about what the
Mhm,
Daleks did to his home world. And
mhm,
you could feel that. You're like, yeah, why should he, let you
mhm.
let this thing live? He just needs to smoke it right now. Just
Oh
get rid
yeah,
of it.
and yeah,
You
and
know.
the Dalek is so the Dalek's manipulative. He manipulates Rose. He's taunting the Doctor. You would make a good Dalek.
Yeah.
He knows that knows exactly what to say to get him, and it's just yeah. And at this point, we've not seen an enemy, be like spar with the Doctor like that.
Yes.
But yeah, you can see, the Daleks and the Time Lords, what kind of, the power they had. The Daleks are just as intelligent, just as scheming. Yeah, it's fascinating. Again, that thing of it's always in the background in this series of the Time War and what exactly it was and what does it entail. And there's just enough like a little bit of mystery
Hmm.
where we keep getting little bits. And yeah, it's like like breadcrumbs. And yeah, and again, it's just another reason to keep on watching.
Exactly. And I think that's what a lot of modern shows are missing. It's like
Hmm.
we need that overarching breadcrumb story. We need to
Hmm.
know, we come back for every episode, but what's the overall end game? What else is out there? What
Hmm.
little pieces are you revealing to us to eventually assemble the picture? And this episode was definitely one that showed kind of like, okay, here's this other breadcrumb we're going to give you with respect to who the mortal enemies of the Doctor
Hmm.
is. So, yeah, I really, this one I really sunk my teeth into this episode. I really did like that. Let's see. The long game. Let's see. This one, it was all right.
Yeah,
It was
it's.
all right.
I think, to be fair, I think anything that was going to follow Dalek was going to be a bit. It's a
I
bit.
gotcha. I
You feel
gotcha.
like
It's
you
just
kind of
like,
think,
how's it hard to? It's like, why do we have to follow that episode?
yeah, well, obviously it makes. I think viewing it as kind of like a prequel to the last episode helps, but obviously at the time you don't know that
Mhm.
it's a lot. It's a lot of setup. Again, I think I like the concept. And I think, considering this was 18 years ago, you could say you kind of like, oh, you kind of predicted kind predicting the internet there. Yeah, but the instant news and how it can be controlled and like, very interesting, very interesting themes.
Mhm.
Again, the characters are really good, like Suki and Simon Pegg as the villain, the overall,
I
the big.
love Simon Pegg.
I kind of it looked really, like when you get to like the higher up and it's all like frozen and other people are just frozen and stiff, and that were kind of creepy. And then you realize the big bad is just a big piece of meat. It just yeah, I think that was a little bit of a letdown. I think if they'd have just left it at Simon Pegg kind of pulling the strings,
Mhm.
maybe that would have worked better. Um, but I think the main crux of the episode is kind of showing that not everybody can be cut out to be the Doctor's companion, because Adam is just a scheming out for himself,
Mhm.
and it is. I did find it funny with the clicks. I think it were more for the kids. You're like, would the Doctor really have just left him on Earth with a big hole in his head? I don't know. it did make me chuckle, but yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's again. I think it's kind of more of a filler episode.
I agree. I liked seeing Simon Pegg. I did. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. I'm think I'm ready for the next episode now.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was more kind of like a thing, for the kids. It's like it wasn't bad. It was okay,
Mhm.
but like you said, Starry, to be fair, this followed Dalek, which was a
Mhm.
very emotionally
Mhm.
heavy episode. So wasn't surprised, but it was like, it's okay. We
Mhm.
can go to the next one. And sure enough,
I think this is one of my favourites. I get in terms of kind of like the emotional story. I cried like a baby with this.
this one, I and it didn't occur to me, and correct me if I'm wrong. Was this the first? Maybe it was mentioned earlier. Was this the first episode where we found out that about Rose's father, like how her father died?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay. So I thought it was an interesting setup because how many TV shows and movies have we seen about this thing with time? You do not want
Mhm.
to run into yourself. If you are in an alternate timeline, you were there to observe. Anything
Mhm.
you do can throw something out
Mhm.
of what the true series of events should have been. And it's especially dangerous to run into yourself. So when we
Mhm.
find out that we're back and in this place where Rose is like, well, my father died there, and she's just like, I just want to save him.
Again, and it's so human. I mean, you can understand both sides. You can understand why Rose would want to see that, and if you were in that situation, of course you'd want to try and change it. I think that's the most human thing at all. Of course
Hmm.
you'd want to meet your dad. You can
Absolutely.
also understand the doctor's perspective, where now he's wondering, did you only choose to come with me because this was your plan? It's a legitimate
Right.
concern. And again, I like the friction between them. It isn't always, nice and safe between them. And traveling in time, it is dangerous. Again, it's not, it's a very cheap episode. It's set, you know, in the 80s. There's not really
Mhm.
many effects. But again, the performances, because, we've seen it all before about, traveling in time, avoiding pass out, don't change things, the butterfly effect. But I think was
Right.
done so well. The actor who plays the dad is fantastic.
Hmm. Agreed.
Again, Jackie's just a stain sealer, I think. Because imagine you've gone to a wedding with your husband, and he keeps hanging about with this young blonde woman. Of course, you can have something to say about it. So that it just made me laugh. But like the little moments where the couple that are getting married, when they say to him, "We know we're not important, but can you save us?" And the doctor's quite shocked by that. He's like, "Who said you're not important?" And the love of humans, again. It's such again. I just feel like there's some parallels with Star Trek again.
Hmm.
About
Yeah.
the best of humanity, and all banding together and working together, and again the sacrifice. Because the doctor sacrifices himself. He's the oldest person there, and I love the idea of the Reapers coming to sterilise the wound in time. I
Hmm.
would have loved if they could have just spent a little bit more money. But at the end of the day, it's like I can live with it. They did the job, and
Yeah.
yeah, the just the fact if Pete Tyler hadn't have figured out what he needed to do, that would have been it for the Doctor. He wouldn't have been able to come back, and yeah, and it's and then she does get to be with him at the end, and yeah, it's so touching. Yeah, again, you can't explain. This is a wonderful thing with Doctor. One week you've got fighting aliens. The next week you've got the Daleks, and
Mhm.
it's super serious, and then you've got this beautiful emotional story of a father and a daughter. You just can't think, what's going to happen next. And I think there's so much creativity there. And again, we keep going back to Star Trek. TOS was exactly the same.
Yes.
One it'd be a comedy, it'd be an action, it'd be a mystery, it'd be political, and just yeah, it's just fabulous entertainment.
It
Really
truly,
is.
truly is. This episode, like you were saying, story not very effects heavy. The Reapers, they did the job. I wanted to see more too because they look creepy crawling, on the church and everything. But just having this episode boil down to what would you do if you could go back in time and prevent a loved one's death. And I like how the doctor, again, you're talking about the friction between the two of them, when the doctor is just like, I lost my entire people. Don't you think I would wanted to go back and do that? But
Mhm,
I know that I can't. And
mhm,
eventually Rose realizes that, you know, time travel and all of this is not a joke.
mhm.
So I love that in the end, she got to hold her dad's hand. So that was sweet. That was sweet. But yeah, this was a tearjerker of an
It
episode.
really was.
Totally, totally was. Let's see. So we
Mm,
go from that one to this one. We were talking about mysteries.
mhm.
This was a really good one. I'm like,
Yes.
what? That's creepy. I'm like, don't open the door. I I think I had just seen I think I
Yeah.
actually had seen a horror movie before I watched this. So it
Mhm,
was already just I was like, don't open the door, and it's the sound of, like a child, calling for
mhm,
their mommy. And I'm just like, that's a trap. That's a trap. Don't
mhm.
do that. Don't do that. But
Yeah.
it's you again, you have like this backdrop of 1941 in, like, in London, and this one, like, young girl, she couldn't have been more than like 16,
Mhm.
looking after all of these kids, almost
Yeah.
like like she's their mother. And apparently, this we'll say this visage or whatever of this young boy asking for his mother
Mhm,
appears a lot, but it's not human.
mhm,
And that's kind of like the story behind that. And then later on, we find out that there are these people. They're all in the hospital ward, and this freaked me out.
it is really
Freaked
creepy.
me out. It reminded me of something from the Twilight Zone, where the
Mm,
doctor's like, well, the actual medical doctor, and he's just like, same wound on the hand,
mm.
gas mask, everything. And I forget what he said, but at the instant, all of them sat up, and they're
Yeah.
like,
Oh, I'm
it's
getting shivers
contagious.
just thinking about it again. Yeah, it's
Oh, it's freaky.
and it's so simple. Because this is the thing with Doctor. The best things are the simple things. And I was working at a school when this episode went out, and so this would go out on the Saturday, and then where I went to school on the Monday, there'd be kids in the yard chasing each other, going, "Are you my mummy?" It was just amazing to see. Really was. They'd all be running around and pretending, and that's when you knew you'd got the kids. They were invested in it. But yeah, it was an absolute joy to see him playing. And again, that thing of, did you see Doctor Who on Saturday? Oh, it was scary. I stayed up, but kids do like being scared. That's all part of the fun. That we like being scared most of the time.
And this was definitely one that had like that scary, creepy vibe going on with it. So I loved them like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's up with this kid that keeps asking for his mom? And then it's like,
Mhm.
why is it that these people like have these gas masks on their faces and it turns out it's a part of their face and the same wound on their hand, and then we see the actual medical doctor start to transform
Mhm.
into that, and that's when it got even freaking creepier. I'm like, oh man, how is this episode going to gonna like end? And apparently they run into this guy who's their representative.
Oh, yes.
Apparently he's
Yes.
what is he? I call him like a con man time lord, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Oh, Captain Jack is what a character. He's a fan favorite, and it's clearly to see why. He's just you know charming, oozes charisma. You can't help but like him. And again, and then that saying frees a crowd. Because Rose obviously likes him, but you just
Hmm.
start to get that little undertone of maybe there's something more with the Doctor and Rose than just friendship,
Yes.
which I like. Some fans didn't like it. Some fans think the Doctor should stay away from all that kind of thing. But I didn't mind it. I like that. The Doctor starts off being like really cold and detached, and then over time, Rose, she brings out his humanity again. He learns to trust,
Hmm.
and he becomes warm. And I think there's many different kinds of love. I mean, obviously, uh, sexual attraction is very much in this episode, especially with Jack. But there's more than one way that you can love. And actually, the next episode, the Doctor dances. That is, the writer did say it's basically a metaphor for sex. It's saying that yes, the Doctor does dance, and yet obviously because there are time loads, and how do you get time loads if there isn't the birds and the bees? And again, it's just another little element to that that relationship, just having another person thrown in the mix. What does that do to the dynamic? And yeah, it's really interesting. So you've got all that going off as well as the mystery and the I don't know, I think the historical setting really helps as well. It helps with the atmosphere. Like listening to Glenn Miller, on Big Ben, and the Rose with the Union Jack T-shirt on it. So I don't know,
Yeah,
so much fun.
I do.
Yeah, again, and what a cliffhanger, as you say. Yeah, it's. I like the cliffhangers in Doctor. I think we need more cliffhangers.
They do them, they do them so well. I mean,
Mhm.
episode 10, I mean, episode 9, I'm like, I gotta find out what happened. I
Yeah.
think it was the first time because I'd kind of taken my time watching every episode, but after
Mhm.
9, I'm like, okay, bring the next one up, bring the next one
Yeah,
up.
I gotta find out what
I gotta
happens.
find out what happens. And then when you find out why, and I'd kind of had an inkling about what was going on, but
Mhm.
when the doctor starts to talk to the young lady and basically say, you're not his sister, are
Mhm.
you? And the way that she looked, you knew exactly
Oh
what
yeah.
what that what that was. And just the way that he tapped into her humanity, because it's just like you're the only person who can turn this, or who can change this, and she feels so
Mhm.
much guilt that
Mhm.
finally she has to reveal that she's Jamie's mother. And I just love how the doctor was kind of just like, you can do this.
Mhm.
Only you can save the human race. And he said, oh, by the way, we actually win this.
Yeah, because
Talking about the war, I'm just like, because
yeah.
It's like, when are you gonna tell her that y'all actually
Yeah, that you baby.
you're not gonna be speaking German? When are you gonna, when are you gonna, when are you gonna tell them that particular thing? So it's I just loved how he did
Mm,
that with the way of using, I want to say his influence or whatever, as a time lord to
mhm,
basically guide humans into doing the right thing. She already knew she had to do it, but just she felt that there was no hope. It's like, why do it if there isn't any hope? And then when he tells her, yeah, you guys actually win. You win the war. And she's just like, against the Germans? And she's like, yes. He said, you actually do win. So I
mm,
loved that scene where she finally hugged Jamie, and then you saw like all the alien technology starting to figure out
mhm,
how exactly that they're supposed to replicate, because they had incomplete information. They thought
mhm.
it was this boy with the mask on his face. That's why everyone should kind of look like that. But I love that. I was scared to death through this episode,
Oh, yeah.
but had tears too. I loved it. It was such a great mystery, such a good just a good message about the human spirit as well by the end of this episode. So I love that. And yes, and actually seeing the doctor dance as well. Yes.
Well, yeah, it's just again, yeah, humanity surviving that optimism. It's so lacking, in current TV. It's all dystopian. It's all depressing, and
Mhm.
we need episodes like that. And yeah, you say, it's a lack of hope, and trying to push. She even tries to push the other kids away because she thinks she's going to get them into danger. And
Mhm.
yeah, and it's just such a simple thing that it was, the nana genes that had come across the little boy and thought that's what humans should look like. And something, it isn't sinister. It was just a mistake. And
Yeah.
lovely to have a happy ending. Lovely to see the doctor of that. He feels like he's got that weight lifted off him. Um, yeah, just little things like the Captain Jack doing something honourable. And you think,
Yeah.
he's only been in a story, and we've already had some, amazing character development.
I felt
So,
kind of
yeah,
bad at the end. I'm like, we're gonna really
yeah.
miss you.
And yeah, you thought, of course, they were going to save him. He'd redeemed himself.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, that lovely scene. And I would just talk about how gorgeous that TARDIS interior is with that lighting. Oh, I'd have look. I wanted to be. I wanted to be dancing around that that TARDIS.
It's so roomy on the inside. Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah. Great. I loved it's like if you're into mystery and you don't mind missing a couple of previous episodes, watch 9 and 10. I absolutely love
Mhm,
these two together. Let's see. Then we get to Boomtown.
mhm.
And the female skin alien, I'm gonna call her that. She's back,
She's
apparently
back.
trying to get a nuclear power
She
plant built.
survived.
Yes.
In Cardiff again. Yeah. Well, there was very little farting in this one, so that's a plus. They
Yeah,
kind of got
I
rid of
agree.
that.
Only one, but it wasn't, well, no,
Mhm.
actually, that wasn't a fart. It was kinda like, I haven't had anything to eat yet." It's like, "Oh, okay, that's way better than the fart thing."
Yes. Again, this is one. Some people view it as filler. I quite like this one. Again, I think it's another money saving episode, but I think it works. And there's scenes where it's just trying to think what her name, Margaret. She calls herself, doesn't she? The Margaret and the doctor, where he's got her imprisoned. It's like, right, we're going to take you back to your planet, and you
Mhm.
can stand trial. And she, that face off they have, and well, you're going to send me back to certain death then? Can you all look at me? Can you look me in the eye? Again, it's such another. It feels like something Star Trek would do. We're going to make you face justice, but can you stomach it? Can you stomach sending me back, knowing? And it's good, the psychological aspect of it, and the actress who plays her is fantastic. And the more she's in the human form, I think that works better than when she's in the Celine
I
form.
agree. Yeah,
Again, it's another aspect of the Doctor, because usually it's just right. You're the bad guy. We're gonna, you're gonna face justice, but you never actually see what that justice entails. Whereas now it's right. We've got to stay for 24 hours, and you've got to stay with me, and I'm going to play these mind games with you. And that scene in the restaurant where she keeps trying to kill him, it's fantastic.
that restaurant scene
Uh,
had some of the funniest
yes,
comedic
uh,
elements I'd ever
mhm.
seen. Because she's like, "Oh, you could throw it out." Yeah, I knew that actually. And ooh, she starts like a blow poison. I just like, "Yep, okay,
Yeah,
nullify that." Everything she tried. You
yes,
thought that he didn't know
mhm.
what to do. We're just like, "Oh my god, she's gonna kill him." Nope,
Yeah.
nope, not gonna do it.
No.
Not gonna do it. I that's actually my favorite part of the episode is
Yeah.
the scene in the restaurant,
Mhm,
which I thought was so freaking funny. Um, Again, it just goes to that comedic
mhm,
timing that I love in this. And then, of course, by the end of this episode, you start seeing all these bad
mhm.
wolf
Yes.
references. I was kind of like, where exactly is that, is that coming
Mhm,
from? So that they start to kind of plant that
mhm.
um, in your head.
Yeah, again, it's another little bit of a breadcrumb trail. Again, it's just so much going on. You've got the central story, you've got the Time War stuff,
Hmm.
then you've got this bad wolf thing that you're not quite sure what it is, but it keeps popping up. It gets mentioned in the Unquiet Dead as well, so that's another reason why you definitely need to watch it. There's a
Okay.
maid. Oh, she's kind of like got a psychic ability, and she says to Rose, she warns her about the big bad wolf, and then it never gets mentioned again. And you're like, okay. Um, but again, another kind of cheap episode. Um, I don't really know. Did we need Mickey in this episode?
I didn't think
I
so. I
don't.
mean, he kind of with Mickey, the kind of like the whiny boyfriend who's still
Mm,
kind of hanging on. It was starting to really get old. Um,
yeah, and then
because he could have been missed.
and it makes Rose look really bad as well. Like, stop stringing him along.
Yes, it does. It's just like you need to break up
Yeah.
or you're just, gonna wait. So I just honestly I thought they would have just gotten rid of Mickey after
Mm,
like was it episode 6 or something like that. I
mhm.
didn't expect to see him. I'm just like, why is he here? But okay, I don't know. Maybe he's got a contractual obligation. I don't know.
Well, there is a reason, as you will find
Yeah.
out. But yeah, I think that any time where it wasn't the Doctor and Margaret, I think it was kind of wasted screen. And even Jack didn't really do anything, did he? He was just in the TARDIS.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was. I prefer this one to Aliens of London, definitely.
I would have to agree with you wholeheartedly on that one story.
Uh,
Oh, so then we get to Bad Wolf. Now, I found this to be an extreme guilty pleasure. I never watched Big Brother, although I'd heard a
yeah.
lot about it.
Mhm,
The Weakest Link, when that show came to America, I freaking
mhm,
loved it, even though
mhm.
people hated the, the host, but I thought
Yeah,
she was freaking amazing. But the whole thing with like these game shows that
Mhm,
people are playing, and it seems like, when you get quote unquote voted off, it's like it looks like, you get killed.
mhm,
And it was very surreal episode, but a mystery that we found out a little bit later
mhm.
on. So what did you think of this episode, Starry?
Oh, I love it as well. I mean, yeah, the programs that they chose, obviously, it kind of dates it a little bit, but I don't mind. Like the android, it's like terrifying, but you just can't help but laugh. And the fashion, the show, that was what not to wear that we had over here, and it was,
Yes.
and
Oh my gosh, I freaking love that
it's
show.
like let's let's get let's get dangerous. Let's do something really dramatic. Let's cut off your head.
Yes. It's like,
But yeah, I honestly, I just think it was the writer's favorite shows that he just put in. But yeah, absolutely, terrifying. I think one of the best scenes is when where Rose just doesn't get it at all, and she's just laughing and joking, not taking it seriously, and the
mhm.
people behind the cameras are like, why doesn't she know? And then
Yeah.
when she realizes, oh, and then she gets zapped, and it's like, oh no, no, what's happened to Rose?
Oh, that
Oh,
really had me messed up for a while.
mm-hmm.
I'm just like, she's what? She's really dead? I mean, I had to pause for a minute. I'm like, and yeah, it's like we all pretty much think that
Eh,
she's dead.
that was convincing because obviously in Dalek, when you think she's trapped, you kind of like, yeah, but she's not though, is she? Because she's gonna get saved. But this one, for I think a good 10 minutes, you kind of like, they actually did that. How are they gonna bring her back? What are they gonna do this one? I think the seriousness of the Doctor, where he just completely shuts down and Jack goes mad and starts attacking everyone, and they end up in behind bars, and yeah, you're like, oh my god, is that it? Is that why Jack was brought in? Is he the replacement companion? Like, no.
Yeah.
And then there's also that kind of interplay with Linda with a
Hmm.
Y, and you're like, no, 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 you're not replacing Rose, lady. You're nice, but you're not Rose.
No, I actually had a thought. I said, if this is who they replace Rose with, I'm out.
Oh, all right.
But yeah,
Just
this
climbing
this
back up
one
again.
this one was just this one when Rose starts to realize it's not a joke. They are killing people
Hmm.
if you get it wrong. And you see, the doctor trying to get to her, and we're just thinking, okay, he's gonna get there. He's gonna
It's
get
gonna
there,
there
right?
in time. Yeah,
He's gonna get there, right? And he doesn't get
it
there in time.
doesn't. And just everything, the music and how it was shot, and you're really feeling it. Your
Yeah.
adrenaline's pumping, and yeah, and then he fights his way up to the top, and hello. And
Hello.
then you realise it's the space station that they were in the long game, and you're like, oh, this is all starting to make sense. And again, you're just like, these writers are pretty clever, aren't they? They know what they're talking about. All this
Mhm.
setup, and the doctors realize it. That he made this well. When he shut down those news channels a century ago, it's what
Mhm.
what led to this, and he's responsible. And again, another reason why you shouldn't mess around in time. Yeah, and again the conclusion of the episode, finding out who's really behind it all. Were you surprised, or did you have an inkling that it was going to be the
I
Daleks? Yeah.
I was surprised.
Mhm.
And then I'm just like, well, why didn't you see that, see that comment? So it totally surprised me. I didn't think we were
Awesome.
supposed to see the Daleks
Yeah.
ever again. I thought that was done.
Mhm,
So very, very brilliant that
mhm,
the writers used the Daleks as, hey, we're behind this the
mhm,
whole entire time. And I think that is when you knew they were murder bots,
mhm.
but when you see all of those dialects together, it's just like, okay, I don't know if we're gonna get out of this.
No, you're not sitting there. I'm being sabotaged.
Yeah, that's what they'll do. Mine's Professor X is right there. He
He's
knows
right
to stay
there.
right there,
He's
or he'll jump up there and lay on my Slytherin scarf. But he's
mhm.
he's he's looking at me because he's just
He's
like,
looking at
it's snack time, right? Yeah, stay
yeah.
over there. But I was surprised, um, and surprised in a good way because they put that in plain sight. Like if you're looking episode by episode, you don't see it. So by the time they
Mhm,
bring it back around, it's just like it's so simple.
mhm,
It's so 100% simple how they did it. So I kind of like seeing all those
mhm.
dialects. It's kind of like, okay, now we have really, really, really high stakes going on.
Yeah. And again, the Doctor's face when he sees all them
Yes,
ships, and you're like, "Oh, what was it all for?" I thought we'd destroyed them. No, 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 no.
they're back.
Mhm. And
And
again,
they're not happy.
not happy, but again, he puts that brave face on when they asked to talk to him, and that the ultimatum, leave, or Rose is gonna get it, and he just says no, and even the Daleks are like, what?
What?
We're not expecting you to say that. What do you mean? No. I said no. I just another confrontation
He's like,
with
Rose, I'm coming for you. I'm like, yes, that's right.
mm.
You go get her.
My God, Reina, that was the longest week of my life waiting for that that next
I
episode.
believe it. First of all, we thought she was dead, and then it
Yeah.
turns out she wasn't dead. I'm like, thank you for giving
Mhm.
me a heart attack, kind of was that. But yeah, I believe it because I would have felt the
Um,
same way if I had to wait a week to
and
find out what happened. But a good waiting, it's
yeah, it was in a good way, but again, it's just we forget how spoiled we are. We catch up
yes.
on, yeah, and on demand. But I do think I think Doctor Who does work well, doing the weekly serial thing and the binge watch. But I think for the cliffhangers, I think having that week to wait, I think it just keeps you tucking. And of course, it was just like Game of Thrones. People were at work talking about, oh, how's it going to save Rose? How's it going to
Hmm.
beat the Daleks? And it was such a wonderful time to be a Doctor Who fan. Just having the theories and being excited. Oh, such happy days.
I just I loved this season ender. Wrapping up, not only wrapping up the loose ends, not only me cheering when the doctor and the Rose actually got to kiss. I thought that was
Mhm.
cool. I really liked that. I did.
Yeah,
I
I did
did.
as
I was like, I was
well.
waiting for that. I'm like, come on now. I've been waiting all season to have this happen. You're not going to leave me hanging, are you? Sure enough, they went and did that. So I was clapping. I thought that was great. And then turns out, that the doctor has to, in a way, leave.
Hmm.
I it was just like, what do you mean? And the speech he gives at the end when he tells Rose, I thought that was wonderful. Gorgeous writing, gorgeous
Yeah.
acting. Absolutely beautiful. And then we see the doctor regenerate
Hmm.
into with another face. He's like, yeah, it's kind of the deal that comes with this. So
Mhm.
he gets a new, he gets a new face, and Rose is kind of like, I don't know if this is who I think it is, and it, him, but with another face. So I thought that was very interesting in the way he would regenerate, because I knew he was going to regenerate, but I didn't know exactly what that meant.
Mhm.
And then he's like, okay, well now he has a new face.
Yeah, I think it's difficult if you've never witnessed one. It sounds really bonkers, doesn't it? But yeah, the way the doctor kind of prepares Rose for what's coming because he knows it's gonna freak her out. That's not something that's really happened before. Again, in old Doctor, it just happened, and yeah, if you knew him before, you know what to expect. If you didn't, you was like, oh my god, what's happened? Um, yeah, it's such a mixture of emotions, obviously, because you just spent 13 episodes, 13 weeks with Christopher Eccleston,
Mm-hmm.
and yet he's just absolutely wonderful. And then he's gone, and then this imposter has appeared.
Yes.
And I adore David Tennant, and I'm sure you will fall in love with David Tennant as well. But you just can't help it. You're just like, you don't belong in that leather jacket.
No, it was
Yeah.
so jarring to me. I'm just like, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah.
this new face. I'm not so
Yeah.
sure I buy that
Mhm.
that you're the doctor, because in the Christmas episode, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
killer Christmas tree. Who would have known that?
Yeah. It's
I thought that was
another
hilarious. And
another
in
cla another classic.
I mean, you see,
Yeah.
like Mickey, he's working, and wherever he is, and they're like, "No, turn the radio down, turn the radio down," and he like
Yeah.
hears this familiar
Mhm.
sound, and then you see her mother, and she hears a familiar sound. They're like, "Well, Rose is
Mhm.
back, Rose is back,
Mhm.
Rose is back," and she gets out of the TARDIS. So people, first of all, the doctor comes out, and she gets, they're just like, "Who the heck is this?" She's like, "It's
Yeah.
the doctor," and they're like, "Doctor
Doc
who?"
Doctor Who. Got to be said. It's got to be said.
I love that. I
But again,
absolutely love that, because
mhm,
as someone who is completely new to the series,
mhm,
totally felt that, and that was how I felt. Like, who? This is this isn't
mhm.
this isn't Christopher Eccleston.
It is.
This is
And
not
again,
it.
it's that Christmas special is so well written because everything that Rose and the others go through is what we're going through. For a lot of people, the old Doctor Who fans, they're old hats at this. That
Mhm.
they know the emotions. But for us, this was our first Doctor, and he's gone, and it is like almost like mourning him. Like Rose says, because I've lost him, Mum.
Mhm.
It's yeah, and again that's very real, and again coming from the companion's perspective, because in essence that is what the companion's for. They are our window. That's the audience's
Mm.
window. She asks the questions that we want to ask or what we're thinking. Um, but yeah, no, one series was not enough with Chris. I mean, he went out in a blaze of glory. How did you feel about him? Basically, you were almost ready to commit suicide. That was his
I
sacrifice.
was close, because I
Yeah.
I was not I was not
Mhm.
happy to see Christopher Eccleston replaced by David Tennant, because I
Mhm.
I loved his performance. And again, seeing 13 episodes of
Mhm.
him, just with his range, with
Mhm.
that, to me, he was the doctor. He is the doctor. So when you see, David Tennant show up, I'm kind of like, why are you taking over his body? I
Yeah.
don't, I'm not thrilled with it. I'm
Mhm.
not happy with it. I it's like I had to kind of sort of feel sympathy, because it's like it's the same body, but it's a different states. But still, I didn't like it. I
Mhm.
It was very hard for me to get used to. And it took, and maybe this is the reason why they did this, it took until the end of the episode when David Tennant
Mhm.
as Doctor Who is basically defending humanity, and he has that fight like at the end with the cigarettes, which kind of reminds me of again of TOS of Captain
Yes,
Kirk
very
fighting the
much. Yes.
Gorn, right?
Yes,
That's
definitely.
exactly what it
Uh,
seemed like. And then the speech that that he gave in the
mm,
end, and of course the alien ship's leaving and Earth is saved and it's great. And Prime Minister apparently has this weapon. I think it's
mhm.
I'm saying fire, no, not Firefly, um, but had it activated. And what it did was basically blow up that alien ship. And I kind of felt like that was so unnecessary. And the defense that she made, it made
Mm.
logical sense, but it wasn't really the right thing in
Yeah.
a way to do. And when David Tennant, as the doctor, basically read her the riot act about it, I,
Mm.
I think that was when I accepted him as the face
Yeah.
of the doctor.
Because again, he'd got that. He just turned because he was laughing and joking and hugging everyone, and all of a sudden you're like, what have you done? You've crossed
Yeah.
the line. That again, and, like at the end with the sycophants where he says no second chances. So you got like, yeah, okay, this one, looks a bit, it seems a bit more smilier than Eccleston's doctor, but don't let that fool you again. Unassuming, he's got this streak in him of don't cross me. You really do. It's like the Hulk. You won't like me when I'm angry.
Yes. Especially when he said, I can bring down your government with 6 words. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what 6 words are they? And and as soon as I said that,
Yeah.
he goes over
Mhm.
to the person who I want to say is probably in the position that she used to have. And he
Mhm.
says, she doesn't look well, does she?
Mhm.
And I'm like, is that what you're going to say? And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh,
Uh,
okay,
planted,
okay. And
planted
then
the seed.
when he doesn't tell, when she says, "What did he say? What did
Yeah.
he say?" And he's like, no, he didn't really say anything." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, this is gonna be good." And then you see like words gotten out that supposedly she wasn't well, and she's like, "No, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I'm fine. Where
Mhm.
did you hear that? Where is this,
Yeah.
coming from?" I'm just like, "Oh, that was kind of insidious. I can't wait to see how that how that
Yeah.
turns how that turns out." So yeah, I agree. I love how he kind of went from like this jokey, "Oh, this is great. I'm just taking it all in stride and doing whatever," and just like that. Like this is not a game that
Yeah.
you're playing. And who are you to speak for all of humanity with what
Mhm.
you just did? Do you understand the repercussions of what you've just done? And he knows. It's just like, I can't trust her.
Yeah. And
Man, I love this episode, Killer Christmas Tree. That's all I think
it's
about.
oh god, it's such a classic Jackie line. I'm gonna get killed by a Christmas tree. It's like, only Doctor
Yes.
Who. But again, they're all, Jackie's just wonderful. Mickey does more. Season 2, brilliant arc for Mickey. Yeah, it's difficult to believe, but yeah, he's Mickey's one to look out for in this
Okay.
one. Hmm
Okay. I certainly
Is
will.
yeah, he's more than just the love struck boyfriend.
When are you coming
Um,
back? I can't even go on a proper date because I keep worried about you.
and he's like Mickey, man up.
I'm just like, oh man, this just break up with him already.
Oh,
Why don't you? Uh, I tell you, I love watching this show.
mhm.
Cannot wait to start watching season 2. Now I understand what all the Doctor Who swag is at Hot Topic. What that means now.
Yes.
So that police in the box dress, I may have to put that on my
Yes.
wish list.
Oh, it's beautiful, yeah. Oh,
Isn't it
yes.
gorgeous?
It is
I'm like, it's
gorgeous,
so
yeah.
gorgeous, but I don't know quite what it means.
Mhm.
Now I do. Okay.
Now you do, yeah. You have been assimilated.
Yes. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Well,
It's
honestly,
absolute joy.
it's just wonderful to hear that you've enjoyed it, and um, yeah, just I love it. It's wonderful when somebody finds what you love. It's like first time I watched Star Wars or Star Trek, because funnily enough, I started watching Star Trek with Voyager in the 90s, and that's the one that got me into Star Trek. And then obviously I had to go
Ah.
back, and I wasn't quite sure about the original series. Like, well, it was in the 60s, and like, no, you've got to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the game changer. And then obviously I watched it. I was just like, wow, why haven't I seen this sooner? How did they make things this good in the 60s? But yeah, again, it's the strength of the storytelling and
Absolutely.
the actors, and the same with Doctor Who. Yes, there's a couple of iffy effects, but on the whole, it's you overlook them. We know it's on a budget. You can overlook that when it's a fantastic story, and these characters that you believe in.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and again, the family friendly thing, knowing that you can watch it with your kids, you can watch it with your nan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my nan used to watch it, especially when David Tennant was the Doctor, and then Matt Smith as well. Yeah, and it's just fun. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's scary, but every week, it was just fun for so many weeks, and then just when it wasn't on the air, you missed it, just like you did with Star
Mm-hmm.
Trek. Yeah, there should be more than 13 episodes. But yeah, fantastic that you've enjoyed it and you stuck
Yeah.
with it.
I have. I just had
Mm,
a great time
mm,
watching it. And now I can't wait to
mm.
go into season two. But season two is going to have to wait because you and I are going to be talking Britcoms the next time we meet.
We
We're
are,
going to be
yes.
talking about absolutely
Mm.
fabulous.
Okay, I cannot wait for this. We're gonna need
I
gonna need some wine for this one, I think.
Yes, 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 we will. Wine and tissues
Yes.
for just how outrageous that show is. I don't even know if it could be made now. I don't know.
I don't. This.
I know I yeah, I don't think it could be made
Yeah. Straight away,
now.
I'm just thinking of the ultimate accessory of the black baby.
That one, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
That was so funny.
Oh.
I laughed so hard. I called my sister. I said, "You have to watch this." She watched it.
Yeah.
She cracked up. And it was just the funniest thing. My God. I said, "This is why I love this. That's why I love
Yeah.
that show." Because they just did some
Mm,
of the just most
mm.
outrageously funny, hysterical things and memorable lines. So
Yes.
completely un-PC. It is so much fun. I cannot wait to review that with you, my dear. It's
Yeah.
going to be
No,
great next time having you on.
yes. I'm really looking forward to rewatching it. I just think we're gonna laugh so much our stomach's gonna be hurting. Let's go.
Make sure we're not drinking anything either.
I
Well,
know.
after you laugh, not.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh God, boy, you guys are gonna love Bubble. Oh my gosh. Well, Story, thank you so much for being on my channel to talk Doctor Who. I so do appreciate it. As always, it's so lovely speaking with you, especially as you're so several time zones away from me. So I so
Mhm.
appreciate that you could make it. Please remind the people where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Starry Eyed Who, funnily enough. I'm also on Facebook, but if you really want to get in touch with me, I recommend the Twitter because I'm rubbish at keeping track. More than one, more than one app. I'm not very good, and hopefully you will see me more on YouTube. I'm in the process of getting my PC fixed. Yeah, I'm really, really missing, being part of chats and panels and things. So yeah, hopefully, you'll be seeing a lot more of this face.
Good,
Talking about Doctor
good.
Who and, well, anything, everything, Picard, the state of Disney. I am dying to talk about The Little Mermaid
Oh,
when that
oh,
happens.
well, yeah.
Yes.
Um, let's just say, let's see, my theme park therapy stream on Tuesday. We're going to talk actually about
Mhm.
that a little bit with something that the actress has said. But yeah, we can talk about that because that's a story that I read when I was a little girl. I had the hardback book of all of Hans
Mhm.
Christian Andersen's stories. I love the Snow Queen and the Little Mermaid. The
Yeah.
Little Mermaid animated movie, one of my absolute favorites. There's nothing like going to the Little Mermaid show at Disney World with your college friends and singing all
Mhm.
the songs
Yeah.
like you were born to them. And yeah, that's yeah, that's something. That's
It's,
something else. But
yes.
yeah.
The actress. I mean, I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I wish she'd just keep her mouth closed. It's just like,
Dude, this
put, put that shovel away because you keep digging.
who it's like who at Disney is telling you, go out here and say this. Just
I know.
just say,
Just,
I'm just happy to be in this film and I hope you like it. That's it.
yeah, that's all you've got to do. It's,
That's all you have to do. All you have, yes. So yeah, I'm actually gonna fall on that grenade
mhm.
and see the movie and let it go with both barrels. What I
Yes.
think about it.
Well, I look forward to watching the fireworks. I'll be there with my popcorn.
Awesome. Well, folks, thank you so much for watching. Please do follow Starry Eyed Girl. I have her details in the description box of the video. Thank you so much for watching. And hey, those of you who are Whovians, drop me a note in the comments. Let me know what your favorite episodes are in season
Yeah.
one of Doctor
Yeah.
Who. I would love to find out what you guys think. So until the next video or live stream, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.